Welcome to 50 Bad Things, a series where I take 50 things from a movie, game, or TV series and just kind of take a massive shit on it. This list will be mostly objective, mostly sarcastic, and incredibly misleading. You can't play the Red War campaign, which is arguably one of Destiny's stronger campaigns next to Forsaken and the Witch Queen, but you can watch a playthrough on YouTube, I guess, which isn't the same thing. Welcome to the farm. You will never return here. Welcome to the Black Armory. You will never return here. Following the immense success of Forsaken, Bungie followed up all that goodwill with a mass sunset of weapons by the following expansion, Shadowkeep. This is because they hate you, and you will love them for it. This is the Kindled Orchid. It slaps like a bastard and rolls incredible perk options, and you can't get it. Hawthorne has been useless since the Red War. Even back then, it could be argued she never really was useful. You can't hear the masterpiece that is Journey with the full weight of the story's context anymore, and that is a crime. Amanda Holiday is not my... Despite changing most of Iron Banner for the better, Bungie saw fit to remove bounties. Why? I don't know. Despite being a relative banger, Bungie sunset the Leviathan raid last year, which still kind of makes me sad. This is the Vow. You can get it from Crimson Doubles. You're not allowed to play Crimson Doubles anymore. Bungie still hasn't topped the Last Wish for a better raid. Welcome to the Tangled Shore. You can't come here anymore. Have you ever played Gambit? Have you ever played it on this map? Have you ever maybe played it on this map? No, you most likely haven't if you've started playing within the last 2 years, because Bungie sunset them for seemingly no reason. The Revelry, Curse of Osiris. La Monarch has still not been nerfed. Bungie sunset some of the best PvP maps in the game for seemingly no reason. This is the Dust Rock Blues, one of the best shotguns in the entire game, and you can't get it anymore. Jotun Toaster. Despite having a phenomenal campaign, Forsaken remains the only campaign to have any long-lasting effects on our character's morality. Escalation Protocol. You know exactly why this is on this list. Asher Mir is no longer no, you know what, that's kind of a good thing. This is Blast Furnace, one of the best pulse rifles in the entire game, and you can't get it. Beyond Light. The expansion was fine, but fuck everyone that shipped Stasis that unbalanced. Eververse is far from the worst microtransaction store in a game, but it's annoying all the same. The EDZ is a woefully underutilized location. The best stories are locked behind Grimoire cards outside of the main games. And when I say that, I genuinely mean the best stories, like some really genuinely well-written stories that now you can kind of read them in game, so it's good they kind of changed it, but it's still kind of a slog. On the bright side, you can buy these really, really nicely made, leather-bound lore books from, third-party sellers like Barnes & Noble or Amazon for relatively cheap these days. It's still kind of aggravating, though. It took Bungie almost 10 years to have a studio start working on a TV series. That being said, the fact that it's being worked on by the same people that made the Arcane TV series fills me with a lot of hope. Eris Morn is not my mom. Altars of Sorrow. Fuck this guy in particular. Zavala still hasn't banged Keitel, and Bungie still hasn't animated it. Trials of Osiris. Not even going to expand on it. The Infinite Forest. You forgot about that one, didn't you? We still don't know what this was all about, but it did give lore content creators a fucking field day. Competitive Crucible has been useless for 4 years, if not longer. Spire of fucking Stars. The opening encounter of Crown of Sorrow. Books of Sorrow still has yet to be bested by any other lore entry fucking at me. Arbalist. R/DTG exists. The bullshit fucking nonsense that was the Niobe Labs puzzle encounter in Black Armory. We never got much of a confirmation about the death of the speaker, which I guess is just because Bill Nighy cost too much money to hire. It always kind of irks me that we know he's dead and we know how he died, but his death in the Red War campaign is so underwhelming. I felt like there was always supposed to be more with him and it just never happened. Elsie Bray is far too thick. Salvation's Grip. Despite having the best campaign and one of the best in action first-person shooters of the last 5 years, the Witch Queen's Throne World destination feels very underbaked when compared to locations like the Tangled Shore, the Dreadnought, Dreaming City, or D1 Mars. It just feels like there's so much stuff here that doesn't have anything to do. Like, you remember how on the Dreadnought there was like all these secrets and these cubbies and everything all tucked away? There was all these really neat things you could go kind of find to do. There are elements of that in the Throne world, but I really just can't help but feel like it would have benefited from like 3 or 4 more months of development. It's not experience breaking, but it is still aggravating. That just feels like there was meant to be more here. There's just quests that feel like they just don't really go anywhere, and it is really just a big bummer. But it's still better than most of what we got. Apex fucking Predator. The fact that a rocket launcher is this bad, that it is number 3 on this list, should tell you how much this gun sucks. You can't play the Whisper mission or Presage anymore, despite the fact that even compared to things like raids, they are some of the best content that Bungie ever made, and they were really challenging to try and get by yourself, and you can't play them anymore. Sunsetting content. Yes, we're just going to wrap it all up here. It's cool that Bungie is no longer sunsetting going forward with their most recent announcement, but let's not pretend like it's cool that we can't go to Io, Mars, Mercury, we can't play the Red War, we can't play the Forsaken campaign, we can't even earn some of the best gear ever in Destiny, like the Black Armory weapons or the Leviathan weapons. Like, it's kind of just complete bullshit how much of it they got rid of, and maybe it'll all be brought back at some point in the future. Like, we've been doing a pretty damn good job these last couple months of like combining like new releases and new weapons and new armor, and sort of like reintroducing like some older pool weapons back into like the fray and giving them new stuff and giving them new perks and everything. So I have a belief that we are at some point going to get all the best weapons kind of back in the game. But content wise, it feels like if they're gonna no longer be sunsetting stuff period for the remainder of D2's lifetime, then I'm hoping that's a sign that at some point they're going to be bringing everything back. Because yeah, I mean, like, there wasn't a ton to do at all of these locations, but it was still some variety. It was still a little bit more to do like day to day, and it made it way easier to complete seasonal challenges, and it made it way easier to complete battle passes, which maybe is a big reason that they got rid of so many locations in one fell swoop. But seriously, man, like, I miss going back to Io, I miss going back to Mars, I miss going back to to the farm. Like, even if there wasn't a ton there to do, it was more to do. And I really hope they all come back at some point in the future. I mean, all in all, Destiny 2 is still continuing to be one of the most successful gaming franchises out there, and it's not because of underhanded practices like a lot of gaming franchises tend to do when they get this level of successful.
Speak for yourself, motherfucker!
And granted, there are some issues that they've practiced, but rather it's due to just an incredibly addictive gameplay loop that feels constantly rewarding and enjoyable to play. Seriously, I mean, you do not have to take my word for it, just play the free-to-play version, even if the free-to-play version really hamstrings you in getting access to content. But just the feel of the game is so satisfying, and there's a reason why millions of people still play this game. That being said, good lord, is it far from perfect.
We were on the verge of greatness. We were this close.
Mostly in a content sense, despite the fact that even after all that sunsetting, it still has a lot of content. And thanks to Bungie's long-term dedication to this universe and a massive payout from Sony recently, and an upcoming TV series from the same minds that gave us Arcane, I think it's safe to say that Destiny 2 is here to stay. Until they decide to sunset the game.